Hello everyone, my name is Shailendra Chauhan. Welcome to my session Building Microservices using ASP.NET Core and AKS. I'm Microsoft MVP, Technical Consultant, Founder and CEO of .NET X. So let's get started with the today's session agenda. First, we will discuss about the evolution of computing. Then we talk about the microservices, the advantage of microservices, the challenges of microservices. Then you will see how you can migrate your existing N-tier or you can say the N-layer application to the microservices and what are the various tools are available for building the microservices and creating the microservices using ASP.NET Core. Then you will see what are the various deployment options are available in Microsoft Azure. And finally, you will see how we can deploy our microservices to AKS. Now let's have a look at the evolution of computing. So initially people follow the waterfall model as a development process. We follow the monolithic style for building our application, and for deployment packaging we use physical server, and as an application infrastructure we having the data center over there. Later on we started to follow the agile methodology, and for the application architecture we follow the N-tier architecture, and for the deployment and packaging we use virtual machine, and for the application infrastructure now we having a physical server, and over there we can have multiple virtual machine. Now if you will look at the current trend, in the current trend we are following the DevOps as a development process, and for the application architecture we are following the microservices. For deployment packaging we are using containers, and now the application infrastructure is moved to the cloud. So you can use AWS, you can use Microsoft Azure, you can use Google Cloud, any cloud vendor you can use. Now let's understand here what are the microservices. So microservices are the small unit that have only one responsibility, or you can say using a single microservice we write a single logic which is going to solve a specific problem. And microservices are smaller and independent services. Those work together to build a highly automated, independent and evolving software. And each microservice you can deploy independently. Even all services don't need to share the same technology stack. It means one of the microservice you can build using the .NET stack, another microservice you can build using the Java stack, and some other technology stack you can also use over there. Now let's have a look what are the advantages of microservices we having. So microservices are language independent and framework independent as well. So it's up to you what are the language, what are the framework you are willing to use for building them. They support the independent development, independent deployment, and versioning techniques as well. Even you can scale them into second without compromising the integrity of an application. Now microservices having the better fault isolation, which keep the other services to work even on failure. If let's say one of the microservice became failed because of any XYZ reason, so other services in the system will run without any issue. So you don't have the entire system failure. You are having only a particular component failure into your system. Microservices also offering the zero downtime upgrade. So if you are willing to upgrade one of the service over there, you can easily upgrade. And even you can follow here the CI/CD pipeline to automate the release, to automate the build over there. And the microservices can be from the different data center, even they can be from the different server also. So these are the various advantages we having in case of microservices. Now let's have a look what are the challenges you will face when you're building the microservices. So first challenge is your complexity. So a microservice based application is more complex as compared to the equivalent monolithic application. The second one is a development and the testing. So building and testing a service that is having a dependency on other services, you need to have the complete understanding of the domains. If you don't have the complete domain understanding, you will not able to test your service properly. Even you cannot refactor the database also. The next one is here the lack of governance. So in microservices, we follow the decentralized approach of managing the database. Even you can use any technology stack for building your microservice. So somehow it is going to having the issue of maintenance because of so many different language and framework are involved over there if you're working with a single team. But if you're working with the multiple teams, then there is no issue over there. The next one is a network congestion latency. So the use of many small services is going to lead into the additional latency because of you have to implement the intercommunication between the microservices. So make sure you are using the asynchronous microservice communication pattern to handle it in well way. The next challenge is here, data integrity. So usually in case of microservices, we manage the database separately. So, so this one actually going to lead into the data inconsistency challenge. The next one is your management. So to be successful with microservices, you need to follow a mature DevOps culture because the DevOps help us to manage the release pipeline, to manage the build pipeline as well. The next one is a versioning. So be careful when you're going to update your microservice because this microservice can have the dependency on other microservices also. So make sure the versioning you're taking care of so that your microservice having the backward compatibility as well as forward compatibility. The next one is skill set. So to follow the microservice architecture, you need a skill team so that they can easily understand all the domains in your application. They can manage it properly. You can implement the CI/CD as well. So now let's see how you can migrate your NTR, you can see the earlier application to the microservices. So I'm having a pretty much simple NDL application where I am having a data access layer, which I have created using the AD.NET or entity framework you can create. You can have a database, let's say SQL Server, Oracle, and you having a business layer containing your various business classes where you have written the logic for catalog management, authentication management, order management, and you can have any other classes as well. And all these business logic we are accessing in our shopping website where we have designed our UI. And let's see the entire code we have written in the ASP.NET Core. And here the shopping website we are accessing from the internet using the mobile phone, using the laptop and the desktop, whatever. Now, if you will willing to migrate this architecture to the microservices, how it can be migrated? So this can be migrated to microservices. So just whatever the business classes you are having, for those business classes, I'm just going to create over there a catalog microservice, a authentication microservice for handling the things related to the authentication. And if you look at here, each microservice having its own database also. And now these microservices we don't expose to the shopping website directly. Now these microservices we can expose using the API gateway. So API gateway is a design pattern which you can implement, but it is not mandatory. But usually we use the API gateway pattern so that we can provide a single endpoint for accessing all the backend microservices over there. So this is the way how we having the API gateway now. So through the API gateway, the shopping website will access this all backend microservices. And what we have done, even the UI also, we have divided into two sections. We having a shopping website, which is having a public facing endpoint, like which one you can access through the internet. We having an internal support website, which our support team is accessing for managing the catalog, for managing the administrative activity over there. So this is the way the earlier application you can migrate to the microservices architecture over there. So here I'm just taking a pretty much simple example for the understanding purpose. This architecture would be more complex when we talking about the microservices internal communication because I have not mentioned here how the microservices are going to communicate to each other. So further, this architecture can be upgraded to implement the asynchronous communication pattern with the help of service bus, with the help of RabbitMQ, and you can use others design patterns also available in microservices. So I'm just keeping it simple to understand the concept. So let's move to the next step. Like what are the tools you can use for building the microservices? So here I have mentioned the tools which mostly I will use in this session for building my microservices application. So make sure you are having the Visual Studio 2019, you having the SQL Server, you having the Docker desktop, and you having the Postman. So these are the tools are required for testing and building your microservices locally. And for the deployment purpose, make sure you're having the Microsoft Azure subscription, where we will create the Azure AKS cluster and we will create over there Azure API management instance so that we can implement over there the API gateway pattern as well. So these are the various tools I will use in this session for building the microservices. Now let's see how we can build our microservices using the ASP.NET Core. So what I'm doing here, I'm already having the Visual Studio 2019, which I'm just going to open here. And what I have done, I updated my Visual Studio to the ASP.NET 5. So .NET 5 has been released. So everything I updated to the latest version of .NET, that is .NET 5. So let's do one thing here. Let's create a new project. So here I'm just going to start with a blank solution. So just make a search here for blank solution. So I'm having a blank solution. Let's click on the next button. Now define a solution name. Let's say solution name is here Microservices app. Now define the location. So as a location, I'm using Galaxy Desktop. And here I'm just adding a one more folder. Let's say Azure Conference. I'm already having a folder here, Azure Conf. I'm just creating a separate folder with the name Azure Conference. Now let's click on the create button. So what it will do for us, it will create a blank solution. And this blank solution, I'm just going to add a new project. So what I will do here, in fact, I'm just going to follow this architecture. So just remember this picture over there. So what I will do here, I will create a catalog microservice, which will have a separate database. I will create an authentication microservice, which will have a separate database. And here I have already installed the Docker desktop. So you can see I'm already having the Docker desktop on my machine that is running fine. If you will look at in the bottom, it is running fine. There is no issue. I have already configured the Docker desktop for the Kubernetes as well. So if you look at here, this is my Docker desktop and where I have configured the Kubernetes as well. If you will go to the setting, in the setting, you will find out my Kubernetes is running fine in my local machine. So everything I have set up already. I'm just going to create a simple ASP.NET Core application. Later on, I will show the way how the Docker support we can add over there and how we can deploy it to the Kubernetes. So I'm just going to add here a ASP.NET Core web application, define the project name. Let's say it is here catalog service. Click on the create button. And here what I'm doing here, I'm just using here .NET Core and it is here ASP.NET Core 5.0. So I'm using here ASP.NET 5.0. Just select ASP.NET Core Web API. I'm not configuring it for HTTPS. Let's leave it as it is. And starting from ASP.NET Core 5.0, you will find out the Open API support. So this option is not available in ASP.NET Core 3.1, but starting from 5.0 it is available. I'm selecting this one. Let's create our simple ASP.NET Core Web API. So by default, you will find out it's added in a weather forecast class. Let me remove it. And here we don't have so much time, so entire code I will not write. I will just copy it from my existing code so that we can build the things quickly and do the deployment. So what I'm doing here, I'm just going to add a folder for database where I will add the entity. So I'm not following here any particular design patterns. I'm just going to use all the things immediately. So let me copy the things from my existing project because I'm just going to explain how the things we can do it over there. So I'm already having this project over there where I'm having a database folder, I'm having the catalog. So let me copy these two folders over there. I'm just putting here. It is a simple ASP.NET Core Web API application which you can easily build without an issue. So what I have done, I just added here a category entity where we having a category ID, name, product. I'm having a product as well. It is a simple class, nothing is new over there. Then I added here a database context. So in the database context, I added the product. I added the category over there. So what I need to do here, I need to just add here the NuGet package for Entity Framework Core 5.0. So let me browse here the package for Entity Framework Core. So I'm just going to install here Entity Framework Core 5.0 package. Let me install here. I'm installing it. And here I'm just going to install here the SQL Server package as well because I'm using here SQL Server also as a database. So these two packages are mandatory. You need to install. If you want to follow here migration, so please install this package as well. Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tooling Support, where you can run the migration command to create the database, to update the database also. So these three packages I have installed. Even database I have already created. So if you will look at it, my SQL Server Management Studio, I'm already having a database for catalog service, where I'm having the two table, one for product and another one for category. I'm also having authentication service, where I'm having a role table, I'm having a user role table and the user tables. So these things I have already created so that we can quickly build the things. So all the things I have already done. Now let me define the connection string. So here to define the connection string, let me copy the connection string as well. As per my system, I'm just mentioning my connection string. So here I'm just going to connect with the catalog service. And to connect with the database, I need to just define here a setting the startup class as well. So open the startup class, and the startup class, let me define the setting for database context. So I'm just going to use here the database connection string. I already installed the entity framework core NuGet package. And here I'm having a two variable. In one variable, I'm accessing the connection string from the app setting.json. And in another variable, I'm accessing the connection string from the environment variable. So this one I will use when I will do the deployment to AKS. But right now, I will build it using IS Express. So that's why I'm just going to read the connection string from the app setting.json. That's it. And you will find out here it automatically added the support for Swagger. It is a new features in ASP.NET Core 5, and it's going to generate a Swagger UI as well for us. Simple. So my this catalog microservice ready to use. Let me run it quickly using the IS Express itself. Because database I have already created, I don't need to create it here. I'm just running it quickly. So it is running in my local machine, and you can see by default it is opening with the Swagger. So you can see it just open me the Swagger catalog service UI, where I can find out how many methods are there in the catalog service. So you can see we having a this get request, and we having a method where I can make the post request. Now let's have a look at the get request. So this is the schema available, and let me execute it here. There is option here, try it out, and click on the execute button. So if everything is fine, I will get the data from the database. It is taking time, so please wait. And you can see finally I'm getting the data. I'm already having the two product in the database. One is here for Azure interview question answer book. I'm having the microservices training over there. So these products are coming from my database. You can verify in my database. I'm having a product table where this information is available. So my catalog ASP.NET Core Web API is working fine without any issue. Now what I will do here, you can see these are the two products. So now what I will do here, I will add the support for Docker. So make sure you have installed the Docker. Docker I already running in my local machine. So now let's do right click over there. Visual Studio having a very good support for adding the things. So there is a Docker support option you will find out in your Visual Studio. Just do right click over there. And here just target the operating system which you're targeting. I'm targeting here Linux OS. Let's click on the OK button. So make sure your Docker desktop is running to support the Linux container. It is already running in my case. So you can see it's automatically added a Docker file for us, where you can find out it is downloading the ASP.NET 5.0 Docker image from the MCR for here Microsoft Container Registry. It is downloading here .NET 5 SDK as well. And what it is doing here, it is a multi-stage pipeline, the Docker. So this is the stage 1, this is the stage 2, and this is the stage, sorry, this is the stage 3, and this is the stage 4. So it is containing here 4 stages for building my Docker image for this catalog microservice. So we have done the things over there. Now just try to build it to make sure everything is working fine after adding the support of Docker. So just trying to build the things. So first time it will take the time, because what it will do in the Docker file, what are the ASP.NET 5 and the .NET 5 SDK. image we are using, it will download from the Docker registry. So here as a Docker registry, we are using here Microsoft Container Registry MCR. Even if you will find out these images already having in my local machine, if you will go to the dashboard of the Docker desktop, you will find out these images are already there in my local machine. So I can go to the here images section, and in the images you will find out these are the images. And here if you will look at, this is the catalog service image, it's run recently which I built it. And you will find out I'm having here the .NET 5.0 Docker image, and we having the Docker image for others also, like Kubernetes setup already I have done here. So we having the images related to the Kubernetes. So first time it will take the time. In my case, already images are available in locally. So it's just using the local images. So build has been succeeded. You can see the output is yes succeeded. So we just follow here how we can build the microservice. Similarly, I can add the authentication microservice as well. That one I will add later on. Let first complete this microservice development before proceeding to the next step. Now let's understand what is the AKS. Now let's see what are the various deployment options are available in Microsoft Azure. Your microservices can be deployed to Microsoft Azure using either web app, using either Azure function. You can use Azure Virtual Machine as well. You can use Azure AKS as well, and you can use Service Fabric. So in this session, I'm discussing here Azure AKS. So Azure AKS and Service Fabric are the managed cluster. So we are using here Azure Kubernetes cluster for deploying our application. So now what is Azure AKS? So Azure Kubernetes Service is in fact having the benefit of Microsoft Azure as well as the Kubernetes. So Microsoft Azure and Kubernetes are going to create a Azure Kubernetes service that is a managed cluster. You don't need to manage it yourself. So AKS is a fully managed Kubernetes service that offers the serverless Kubernetes, that is an integrated continuous integration and continuous delivery CI/CD experience also it is offering. So what are the DevOps you follow with the Azure Virtual Machine, with your web app? Same style we can follow with AKS as well. It offers the enterprise grade security and governance as well. And here you are paying only for the virtual machine, because behind the scene AKS use the virtual machine. So only for virtual machine and the associated storage and networking resources you are paying. You are not paying here for the management, because the management of the AKS cluster is done by the Microsoft Azure itself. For the management, you are not paying. So let's see how we can do the deployment of our recently created microservice to the AKS using the CLI. Before that, let's understand what the steps I need to follow. First of all, I need to install the Azure CLI in my local machine. So when you will install the Visual Studio, make sure you have configured the Visual Studio using the Azure SDK, which I have already configured. After that, make sure you have downloaded the Azure CLI as well, and you have to create a AKS cluster. So when you will create a AKS cluster, you will have the UI of the AKS cluster like this way, and these are the steps I have mentioned over there. So just you need to use your AZ login to log in to the Azure account, and to use the kubectl locally. Make sure you have installed the Azure CLI. Then I need to download the credential of my created DNT AKS cluster in my locally. Then using the kubectl command, you can get the nodes information. You can get the how many ports are running over there. You can get here how many services are running over there. So what the step now you need to follow here? You need to create here AKS cluster. Let me log in over here. So make sure you are having the Microsoft Azure account, and there now you have to create a AKS cluster. So you have to just click here on the icon. Let's say create a resource. When you will go over there, you will find out what are the various options are available. So we have been here Kubernetes service. Click to the Kubernetes service, and here just define your resource group name, define your cluster name, define the region, define the availability zone, and the Kubernetes version. So it will take a couple of minutes. So I already created my Kubernetes cluster, which I'm going to use here. Let me go through here what are the options available. Now just define here node pools. So node pool is a collection of virtual machine of the same type. So this is the operating system type, and these are number of virtual machine are going to be used behind the scene. This is about the authentication, how the things you need over there. So we need a service principal so that we can manage it, and we need a networking. So for the networking, you can use here the Kubernetes networking, and you can use the Azure CNI. This is the integration option here, like how the Azure monitor you can enable to monitoring the cluster, and the Azure policy you can define over there. So cluster in my case is already ready. Apart from the AKS, you need to create here a container registry as well. So we having option here container registry. So we'll find out a container registry option. Now let's create it here, so that what are the Docker image we have built in our local machine, we can push to this container registry. So just define your resource group name, the registry name, and the location, and all the things over there. It's simple. So we having a DNT resource group where I have things we have created over there. We created here a Kubernetes service. We created here registry. We created here database. So we having database for catalog service. We having database for authentication service, and we having a API management service as well, through which we will access the things. So these are the resources you need to create in Microsoft Azure so that we can do the deployment. So now let's go ahead to the next step, how we can do it here now. So this is my catalog service, which is already ready. Now just do right click over there and publish the Docker image to the ACR. So it's a simple step it is having. Just go to the publish. We having here the Docker container registry option. Just select this one. Then you will find over here Azure Container Registry. Even you can publish the image to the Docker Hub. So Docker also providing us Docker Hub for storing your Docker images. But we are using here Azure Container Registry. Now click on the next button, and now let's select here the container registry which we have created. Now click on the finish button. So what are the name we having for catalog service? With the same name, it will create a repository. If you will look at in this ACR, this is my ACR, you will find out the repository which it will create for our published Docker images. So we having a repository for authentication service, we having a repository for catalog service. So you can see this is the images I just push over here. This is the image tag latest, and the last time I just pushed the image at 12:55 p.m. Now I will just do right click over, click on the publish button, and it will publish my image over there. But before publishing, make sure you have just changed in your environment variable also, because what I need to do here, I need to just change the environment variable. I will not read the things from the app setting.json, because these things would be now provided by the Kubernetes cluster. So what I will do here, before reading this environment variable, I need to define here a deployment file. So I need to define here the deployment file for the Kubernetes. Before adding the Kubernetes deployment file, let me verify my AKS is going to accessible through this command prompt. So these are set of commands are available through which you can access the AKS. I already mentioned all the things in this PPT so that you will able to access it easily. So make sure you have login over there. So let me mention over there az login command to log into my account. So do provide your account detail. Now it has been logged in successfully. Now what I need to do here, I need to just download the Azure CLI, which I have already downloaded. I need to just get the credential. Here I need to mention my cluster name DNT AKS, define your group name. So dash G here for group, dash and here for your AKS cluster name. This command already run, so I don't need to run it again. Now you need to just run this command kubectl to find out how many nodes are running over there. So just run a command kubectl get nodes to find out how many nodes are running in my AKS cluster. So you can see 3 nodes are running over there. Even I can find out how many ports are running. So what are the command we run in Kubernetes? All the commands you can run over there now from your local command prompt. You can see 2 ports are running over there. I can find out how many services are running over there. You can see I'm getting here. These services are running over there. Even instead of accessing the thing through the CLI, you can also access the thing through the GUI as well. If you will go here into the resource group, I'm having the DNT AKS, and here it's having a very good UI where you can look into how many namespaces are available here. Everything it will show in the UI. You can see these are the namespaces that are available, which are used to group the various services in pod over there. We having the services, same services which I access through the kubectl, I can find out over there. So you can find out here, we having the same services, we having the authentication service, we having the catalog service. So these are the services, this is the cluster IP, you can find out. This is external IP through which I can access it here. So these are my already published services because, so we'll find out here, everything is running fine. So we just done this step properly. Now what the next step I need to follow here, to publish my image to the ACR, make sure you have logged into the registry as well. So I already log in into my account, so I don't need to log in it again. But I need to do here and to create here a secret, because to publish the thing to the ACR, I need to have the access of admin user along with its password. So this is the command over there where you need to mention your secret name. So it can be anything. In my case, it is ACR-secret. Then define your Docker server information like container history, and then Docker username and password. Let me show you here from where you can access the username and password. Just go to the resource group, and we having the DNT ACR where you will find out the access key. So inside the access key, you will find out we having a username and we having a password. So I already enable the admin user access. This is my username. You need to mention over there, and this is the password. And this is a Docker server URL also it is available. DNT ACR. This is the one. So just copy this command, running in the command prompt, so that you will able to create the your secret over there. And after that secret, I need to mention in my Kubernetes deployment file. So far we have not added the deployment file. Let me add a deployment file over there. Just do right click, and I need to add here a YAML file, because in the YAML file we define the configuration for our Kubernetes pod and for our Kubernetes service as well. So just add a configuration file over there. So I'm just adding, I don't have any, I think, YAML template. Okay, let's add any JS file. Let's say JSON file. The extension, I will change it. YAML extension I'm putting here. And the file name is, let's say, catalog des deployment.yaml. Extension can be YAML or it can be YML only. Click on that button. So this is right now empty. So now here I need to define my pod configuration. I need to define my Kubernetes service information, which already ready. Let me copy that one. The copy one will not help us. I need to copy it completely. Okay, let me copy the complete configuration file because it is having the issue of spaces and the tab. So let me replace that one. So now this is now already here. So what I have done, I just defined the type of the configuration. This is a deployment, and these are the metadata name. So here what I have done, I have defined my pod information. So this is the pod name over there. We having the specification for the Kubernetes pod. So this is the container name, and this is the image name. So make sure you have mentioned the same path which you having for your ACR. So this is my login server, this one. So you can see this is the ACR name, and this is the repository which I have published inside this ACR. Then define your database connection string. So this is my DB connection environment variable name. Same I'm accessing in the startup class. Here I'm accessing the same variable. Then define your server detail. So this is server detail I just used for my Azure SQL database. I already created a Azure SQL database, and these are the credential for my Azure SQL database. I'm just mentioning over there. Then mentioning my container port where this application will run. So by default, we use 80 port for running our ASP.NET application. Same I'm using over there. At this port, we have connected to this Kubernetes service. So you can see this is the selector I'm using here. So this is the selector I'm using here to which this Kubernetes service would be connected. So the catalog port, and you will find out this is the match label name over there. So using this one, it is going to select this port inside this Kubernetes service. And here, this is the port I'm just targeting. This is the 80 port I'm just using over there. So this is the deployment file we have designed for our catalog service. So everything is looking fine to me. Now let me publish this Docker image to the ACR. Just to right click here and just use the option publish. The publish profile be already configured over there. I need to just click on the publish button. Click over there. It will take a couple of minutes depending upon your internet connectivity. And guys, what we have done, we already added the database along with the data also. So this is my catalog DB where I'm having the same data which I'm having in my local machine. I added over the product table, I added over the category table along with the same data. So don't think from where data is coming because already I prepared the things. So now you can see here it now successfully post the Docker image with the latest tag to my ACR. So now what I need to do here, this catalog deployment file now we can use for deploying our microservice to the AKS. So what I need to do here, I need to just go to the CLI. In the CLI, let's go to the same location where this folder is. So this is a location. Let me copy the location path and just go inside the CD and to that location. Now we having a command kubectl, then apply. I'm just going to use here a file path. So file name is here catalog dash deployment dot yml. See the path I'm mentioning over there. Now let's run it. So you can see here it's done the things for us. So what is happening here? The service is unchanged here because in my case it is already running. It just configured for the Docker deployment over there. So now if you look at here, everything should be done properly. So go to the AKS over there. So this is the AKS where the catalog service is running over there. I can go to here. So now this service we can access using this IP. Let me open it here. And the URL for a catalog service is here API/catalog. You can see we getting here product over there. So we having a product for the book, we having a product for microservice. So my catalog microservice has been deployed successfully to the AKS. So we have done the successful deployment of our local microservice to the AKS. Now similar way we can add the other microservices as well as mentioned in this picture. You need to add here now authentication microservice. You need to add over there other microservice over there. And what I have done, I'm already having a sample where I can show you the way how we can add the same things for authentication microservice as well. So just do one thing. Let me go to the desktop. We are having the Azure conference and here I'm having the already created this project where I'm having the two microservices where you will find out we having a Docker file, we having authentication deployment file, and we having a database and control as well. So as we have done nothing for the catalog microservice, the same thing we have done for this authentication microservice as well. And the same we can push to the ACR as well. So just to right click over there and there is option publish and publish this Docker image also to the ACR. So you can see already the profile already created over there. And here, if you are willing to change the image tag, so there is option here edit image tag. You can mention a version number, let's say V1, V2, V3, even a numeric value also you can mention. It's up to you how you are maintaining your versioning. So I'm not mentioning here versioning over there. It would be here by default latest. Click on the publish button. It will publish to here over there. Now let me show the way how the authentication service you can access. Click over there and you can access the authentication service as well. So API/authentication. It is working fine. So now the thing is here, we have successfully created the things over there. This backend is ready with the two backend microservices. Now we need a API gateway. So for the API gateway, we will use here Azure API management. So what I have done, I already created here Azure API management. This is the DNT API I created over there. It will also create a couple of minutes. And here we have the option for APIs. Just go to the APIs option. And here you can add your API. So for adding the API, need a open API JSON. So if you will look at in our ASP.NET 5, we already having the support for the Swagger. So that documentation JSON file can be created with the help of this Swagger. So what I can do here, I can run it here in the local machine as an IS Express. Because in the startup file, you will find out I can only generate this Swagger documentation locally. I cannot generate it on the production machine. So these are setting over there only applicable to the local environment. So this is the file it will generate for us locally, which I need to create the API into this Azure API management service. So let me run it so that you will have the understanding how it can be generated. So what I need to do here, I need to download this JSON file. Let me click to this JSON link. So this is my JSON file where I'm having my catalog service open API documentation. So you can see these are the methods are available. These are the paths available. These are the components are available. Let me save this JSON file on my local machine. Now this JSON file I will import while adding my API. So I'm having the option here, open API. And here we have the option to select a file. Let me select a file. From the desktop, I'm selecting this file, swagger.json. It automatically selecting the display name as catalog service, the name here catalog service. So I cannot add with this name catalog service because I already having a old service with the same name. Let me define the name as my catalog service. So here you can define the API or a suffix also. Let me click on the create, like my catalog. Click on the create button because we already having the catalog service. So now it is going to add with a different name my catalog service. And you can see all the operation are available here, get and post. What are the one more change you need to do here in the setting over here? You need to just define here this web service URL as well, where your service is actually running. So this is the URL where it is running. Let me copy this IP. And this IP I need to mention over there like this way. Now let's save it. We added it now here. Now here we have the option of testing. So just click on this get request, and this get request I can test it here by making the request from this DNT API interface. The same API I can also test using the Postman also, but let me show you here how we can test it using this API. Let make the request and you can see I'm able to fetch the data. This is the product is coming. Everything is coming over there. So what we have done here, if you will look at in this picture, we are able to map this catalog microservice to this Azure API management, and I'm able to access it. Let me access the same URI through the Postman also. Let me copy this URI. So this is my Postman, which is opening. So here I will use that URI to test it from my local machine. So let me mention the URI here, and here I need to pass one more thing. I need to pass here this subscription key as well. So this is the header name. So let me mention the header. This is the header key and header value. Let me show the header value. This is my header value. Let me copy. Don't mention it here. Now let's make the get request. So now you can see I'm able to get the data through the Postman also. It is coming here, all the products are coming perfectly. If let's say if I will uncheck this header, I will not get the data. I will get the unauthorized error. You can see it is a access denied. So every time you need to pass this subscription key if you are accessing it from the API management. This is the way. Now let's summarize all the steps what we have done so far for building our microservices and to deploy them to the AKS. So step one is here. Just create the microservices using the ASP.NET Core. The second step is here. Add the Docker support using the Visual Studio. It is easy to add. The third step is here. Create a ACR so that we can push a Docker image to the ACR using the Visual Studio. But make sure before pushing the image to the ACR, you have added the deployment file as well. The third step is you have created the AKS cluster and configure it to access locally. The next step is here, create the Kubernetes deployment file. And these files actually need to create before pushing the image to the ACR. The next step is here. Now deploy the microservices to the AKS using the CLI, all the commands I mentioned in the PPT itself. Then verify and then test your deployment, whether it has been done successfully or not. That thing also I verified. Everything is done properly. The next step is here, create the Azure API management instance and add our API over there. So for adding the API, make sure you have generated the Swagger JSON, and the Swagger JSON you can add to import it. Then next step is here, which you need to follow. I just follow all these 8 steps. Now it's your turn. So I have done till these 8 steps. This 9th step you have to follow. So create your front end and deploy it to the AKS. And through the front end, you can access all these backend microservices using the APIM. So this is the end of the session. I hope you liked it. Now you have been the better understanding how you can build the microservices using ASP.NET Core. And finally, how you can deploy it to the AKS. Thank you for joining the session. Bye.